Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Ask the King. Welcome to part 2 of episode 87 for July 29, 2021. If you're watching this live on stream, I hope you enjoyed the short break. If you're watching this on demand on YouTube, be sure to watch part 1 first. We got some tips in over the break, which means we qualify for some nice gunner glasses for the rest of the show. All right, let's continue on. Let's jump right back into the thick of things. The next question here is from Lewis, and Lewis asked the following question. Alright, so I know your history with Atlas games, but since they recently confirmed that Persona 6 is something on the rise, would that be something that you look forward to doing a playthrough of? A lot of good memories with Persona 4 and 5, even Persona 3 if you discount your first attempt at fighting Nyx and when you discovered you couldn't fuse the multi-fusion Personas. Everyone knows these games are long as all hell, but bring out some of the best video games has to offer in terms of characters, story elements, and overall feel for JRPGs. So again, the question was, would a Persona 6 playthrough be a thing for you eventually when the game comes out? Fuck no. I'm never playing that. No, I'm kidding. Here's the thing. I want to. I absolutely want to play Persona 6. I wanted to play Persona 5 as a new release. I was blown away at how good I felt Persona 5 was. What giant improvements there were to Persona 5 over Persona 4, right? The modernizations were just amazing. That made it a much more accessible game for many people. Made it a fun game for streaming instead of the insane amount of grinding. It was very different. I definitely liked that. But let's recap what Lewis is referencing here in this question. As I was playing Persona 5 as a new release, the year of release, which I can't remember what year it was. I think it was like 2017 or something like that. I was abiding by all of the guidelines laid out by Atlas USA. On social media, they said, this is what you must abide by. You can't stream past this part of the game. You can only do this, yada, yada, yada. And I was 100% doing everything that they said to do. Everything. And they hit me with copyright strikes against DSP Gaming when I was uploading the playthrough. And when I inquired to them, I said, why did I just get multiple strikes against these videos? This makes no sense. Atlas of USA literally came back to me and said the following. We don't know. Because you are abiding by the guidelines that we were told to relay to you by our parent company, Atlas Japan, but Atlas Japan took it upon themselves to still give you copyright strikes, and we don't know why. It doesn't make any sense. So I worked with Atlas USA for about a week and a half, and they finally cleared up those copyright strikes against DSP Gaming. They were reversed. The problem is, alright, you guys may not realize this, but when you get multiple serious copyright strikes against your YouTube channel, you can lose privileges. Now, I don't know how it works today, but back then at the time, I lost the ability to live stream on DSP Gaming. Not that it was a big deal, because at that time, I was live streaming on Twitch, but I think you guys could kind of see the problem that would emerge if I were to play an Atlas game, and this company were to hit me with legitimate strikes. I could lose the ability to stream here on YouTube, because they're hitting me with strikes that aren't fair. I'm abiding by their rules. I'm playing by their game. And they could still hit me with false strikes for absolutely no reason and shut me down from streaming. And that's not right. And I don't know if Atlas has changed over the years or not. I have no idea. But what I like to say is, I would like to give it a shot, but what is the risk reward here? And by the way, shout out to Wilson of Aragorn, who has just rejoined me here on YouTube. He says he used to watch me on Twitch, and now he's coming over on YouTube. Sounds good, man. Welcome. I know it's different here, but we're making it good. 2 months I've been here. Things are getting good here. I feel we're going to have some growth soon over the next few months. Welcome. It's good. I'm good to finally see you come over, man. Welcome to the streams. Okay. Anyway, getting back on topic. So, what is the risk reward of me playing another Persona game? The risk here is I might literally lose my ability to make a living daily, because they might actually stop me from being able to stream on YouTube. If I can't stream on YouTube, then I have a conundrum. Do I go back to Twitch, where I can't do anything with a partnership and instead just rely just on tips again? Or do I try another third-party site, right? Do I go to another one of these third-party streaming sites that's not nearly as prominent or as big as YouTube or Twitch and try to stream on there? I don't know. I really don't want to be faced with that challenge. I like streaming here on YouTube at this point. I've settled into the point where I feel like I'm getting used to it. And yes, there are definitely differences and shortcomings. I can't make as much money here as I did on Twitch because, I had 900 subs on Twitch. I have 223 memberships here on YouTube. You see, I get it, but at the same time, like, I don't want to risk it. You know what I'm saying? Like, do I want to play Persona 6? Yes, absolutely. I want to play Persona 6. I know the game will be outstanding. Every Persona game I've played has been great, but the risk reward is huge. Right? If these guys hit me with fake copyright strikes, I don't know what to do. Not even fake. That's not what I meant to say. What I meant to say was legit. The fake copyright strike thing is gone. Just so you guys know, fake copyright strikes are a thing of the past on YouTube here. Especially for video game playthroughs, they just don't happen. YouTube screens everything now, so if anyone tries to lie or impersonate, it doesn't get through the cracks anymore. That's a great thing about YouTube. Unlike Twitch, YouTube does not just blanket grant every request for a copyright takedown anymore. They screen them all, and most of them get shut down. Which is a great thing, okay? But yeah, like, I don't know what I would do if I lost my ability to stream here. It would fuck everything over, it really would. So, what's the risk reward? The risk is huge. The reward could be good if I put out an amazing playthrough of Persona 6 and it ends up being a great ongoing game and it ends up being enjoyable for you guys, the viewers, for me, the gamer, and also, profitable for my business. But what if they hit me again? And what's to stop them from doing it? Because when it happened, I never got any answer from Atlas USA why they did it or why they removed it. Like, none of it made any sense at all. Literally, at the end of the day, Atlas USA told me, our parent company can do whatever they want, and we can't control them. All we can do is try to fix the problem after. Wow. I mean, wow. That's one of the worst answers I think I've ever gotten from anyone, and that's what I was told. So, I guess it is what it is, okay? So, I don't know. Persona 6, am I interested in it? Yes. Do I want to play it? Absolutely. Is the risk worth it right now? Probably not. For one game to risk me losing my livelihood of being able to stream full time, I don't know if it's worth the risk, man. Okay, let's continue. Ansokamaru says asked the following. I've tipped you this question before, but I was hoping for a more elaborate answer on this time. I'm curious if there are some games you wish you could play, but you can't play right now due to your streaming style. I know you've mentioned Chrono Trigger, Lost Odyssey, and the original Final Fantasy VII, but you're strapped for time, so you can't. I'm curious, are there any other less high-profile games you like to play? For example, whenever a game isn't a high-profile release, you brush it off and say that nobody cares. You often say that nothing came out in June and July, despite that there were probably tons of great releases. Are there some non-high-profile games or AAA games you wish you could fully experience if you weren't mainly playing high-profile releases for maximum viewership? Now, here's the truth of the matter, is that that's actually not even the case anymore. Maybe you could argue back when I was a full-time YouTuber that I only focused on the high-profile games, and that's what took up all my time. Since I became a live streamer, now I'm doing what I'm asked of. You see what I'm saying? Like, right now, if you take a look at the 5 major playthroughs I'm doing. Fallout New Vegas, that's a viewer's choice selection. That's up 60 hours in. I probably got another 60 hours to go. Skyward Sword HD. Honestly and admittedly, not a high-profile release. It's a re-release. It's a game that people asked me for 3 straight months when it was announced, and would I be playing it? And I said, yes, I'll play it since people seem to want it. Now, all of a sudden, I'm playing it, and people are like, oh, why are you playing it? Like, because you asked for it. Okay. Danganronpa V3, a viewer's choice playthrough that the viewers asked for. 60-plus hours in, finally in the finale, but I've been playing it for over 4 months. Mass Effect 3, a game that people massively asked for. In fact, people actually yelled at me when I made the decision to not play Mass Effect 2, when I said that I would do what people wanted and play the Mass Effect trilogy that released a couple months ago. I actually said I'm only going to play 1 and 3 because I just played 2 last year, and people yelled at me, oh, you really screwed it up because now you're not playing them in order and stuff. See? Now, in addition to that, I just started playing Microsoft Flight Simulator last night. So, I've now got 5 games as ongoing major playthroughs. Okay? 5. Out of those games, how many of them are actually hot new releases? Fallout New Vegas? Nope. Skyward Sword? Nope. Danganronpa? Nope. Mass Effect? Nope. None of them. None of them are high-profile new releases. These are all games that I was asked to play because we're in a summer of downtime right now. And I'm playing them because people either nominated and voted for them or directly were asking me repeatedly day in, day out on my streams. Okay? So I would agree with the statement you made here on Sokomaru if this was something you would ask me like when I was a YouTuber back in the day, full-time YouTuber. I only cared about YouTube videos. Now that I'm a full-time live streamer, it's very much what people ask me for. That's what I give them. The problem is when you do this kind of content, you can please some of the people all of the time, all of the people some of the time, but you can't please everyone all the time. For every lengthy game, like Danganronpa V3, that I get asked to play, there's going to be 5 small-time indie games that came out during that time period that I couldn't play because I was playing Danganronpa and they get skipped. You see? You can't have it both ways because, essentially, these are games that are, they're time consumers, you know? I talked about this earlier. I could be the kind of content creator where I only play a game 1 or 2 sessions and I never continue with the playthrough and it just ends. Okay. And people do, there are content creators that are very successful doing that. They only play the hot new games or they only play an indie game when it's new. They play it twice. Okay, I see what the game is. On to the next. But people don't want that. People have known that for 13 years, I'm the guy who, when he likes a game, he plays it to completion. He has a full playthrough on DSP Gaming in a playlist with thumbnails and it's, you know, professional quality. That's what they like from me. You see what I'm saying? So, essentially, I think what's been happening, okay, is that in the last few years, if you haven't noticed, there's an insane amount of games coming out now because games are bigger than ever. You got a bunch of indie games, you got some mid-level titles, some that get marketing hype, some that don't, and then you got the big AAAs. When I choose a game to play on stream, typically I'll look at that balance and I'll say, well, look at the big AAAs. If there's a few there that I'm interested in, I'm playing those no matter what. Likely those are going to get people to come watch because they are hyped big AAAs and everyone's looking for them. Then I look at the mid-level games and I say, is this something I'm interested in or not? Most of the time, it's almost always a no, I would think. But if it is something that's a yes or maybe, I usually pose to my audience, is this something you're interested in seeing? All right? Then you got the indies, and admittedly, when already I'm considering the high-level AAAs and the mid-levels, to get down to the indies is a tough endeavor. And I would argue that up until now, I have an Xbox Series X and Game Pass. Before then, it was almost impossible. Because you would ask me to invest money. You're talking $20, $30, $40 into an indie game that I don't even know if I'm going to like. And even if I like it, I don't know if it's going to get any traction with my viewing audience, but I've already spent money on it. You see? This is very different from the other content creators who get everything for free. You may not realize this, but anyone who's bigger scale than me typically has these partnerships. They talk and schmooze with the agents of these game companies, and they end up getting all those games for free. They're not dropping money on an indie game. Whenever you see a content creator who normally puts out a certain kind of content, and all of a sudden they're playing a game that's completely outside of their comfort box, and they're playing it for like 2-3 streams because they're getting paid to do it, and they were given the game for free. It's not because, oh, I just decided one day I'm going to play this fucking indie game. Of course not. It's because they're getting paid for it. I don't have those opportunities. I'm someone who has to do everything independently just like you. I'm literally just like you in that regard, okay? But now that I do have Game Pass, and I do have an Xbox Series X with Game Pass, I will have more flexibility in the games that I can play. The problem is, we got to finish up the things that we're doing. So when you take a look at games like, oh my god, he's still playing Danganronpa. My god, he's playing Mass Effect. He's been playing Mass Effect for 2 months straight. You're right. But that's because I'm the kind of guy that's playing so many games, and when you ask me to play the lengthy games, they take forever to beat. And so you have to understand that when you ask for that content, that's the content you're going to get for an extended period of time until it's done. Because I'm not someone who's just going to drop it, you see? So, it goes hand in hand, you know? I want to give you guys what you asked for, but when I do, then you ask for something else and get mad that I can't do that. You see? Because I can't please everyone all of the time. Now, in regards to answering Unsokumaru's question directly, absolutely, I would agree. Replaying Chrono Trigger, playing Lost Odyssey, doing a playthrough of the original Final Fantasy VII. I would also argue replaying Zelda, Link to the Past, or maybe playing that handheld Zelda game, what was it? Link Between Worlds. That's one I've always wanted to play and I never played. Okay? What else comes to mind? Like, what if I were to really sit down and think about games from the past that I absolutely love, that I would want to replay? I mean, recently I did replay Final Fantasy 6 and 4 in the last few years, so at least those are out of the way. I'd probably like to play Final Fantasy 5, which I've never played for you guys before. That's one that I played and absolutely love. I guess I would really have to think about it hard, because I think those games cover, like, the gamut of stuff that I want to do right now, you know? Like, I don't have a craving right now, except for those games we just talked about. I don't really have a craving and say, oh, I really wish I could get to this game. At this point, I think those cravings have been satiated for the time being, but I would like to get to these, right? But, you see, this is the problem, is people have this misconception that the reason that I can't get to games is because I'm playing high AAA games. It's not true at all. Actually, it's the opposite. I'm playing games you guys want to see. Every game I'm currently playing was directly asked for by my viewing audience, either multiple times over the course of months leading up to their release, or via a viewer's choice nomination and voting event, you see? So, what I would say is this. Moving forward the rest of this year, all right? Currently, I have no plans right now to do another viewer's choice event, just because I'm waiting for these current ones to end, all right? I feel that that's the best course of action, would be to let these viewer's choice events end and then cool it for a month or two, all right? But when viewer's choice returns, please don't nominate and ask for insanely long games. Ask for a game of reasonable length, between 10, 20 hours, even as long as 30 maybe. Stop asking for the longest possible games, all right? Because this is what happens. I'm now 60 hours into Danganronpa, 4.5 months of playing it. And how many games did I miss out on, right? And by the way, I'm not saying that Danganronpa V3 is a bad game, and I'm not saying that I haven't enjoyed playing it. But you have to understand that I am one man with a busy schedule. I stream as much as I possibly can right now. In fact, I was actually just talking to my wife recently about, man, it would be nice if we could have 2 days together a week. That way we could have one day to go out and do all our errands and appointments, and another day to stay home together, maybe do stuff around the house and have more private, personal time rather than being out all day. We have 1 day a week to spend with each other. That's it. My wife, it's crazy. I live with a woman full time. I married her, and I see her 1 day a week. Think about that, right? So, that's what I'm saying here is, we have to find the perfect balance. Right now, there is no perfect balance. Because some people want this, some people want this, some people will be upset if I drop this because they asked for it, but then when I drop something because people tell me to drop it, I get yelled at too. That's exactly what happened with Divinity 2. Divinity 2 is viewer's choice. People asked for it, I played it 60 hours. And at the end of 60 hours, people literally said, stop playing it. Phil, stop playing the game. It's not entertaining anymore. You're obviously not enjoying yourself. It's too much of a time investment to beat it. You're going to be playing it another 60 hours. It'll take till the end of the year. Just forget it. So I did. And now every day you get idiots coming in here. Why did you drop Divinity 2? Because you fucking told me to. I can't do everything. I can't. I can't play every game. I can't do every possible thing. I would love to cover more indie games, under Game Pass particularly. Then stop asking for 80-hour playthroughs. Because then I'll get to the indie games. But I need the time to do so. You see? So, again, I am a man of the people. I will give you what you want. But you have to be concise and clear about what you want. And I'm not getting a resounding answer to what people want. You would think that when people have a month to nominate and then vote on a game for a viewer's choice playthrough, that game that wins would be the game that resoundingly you guys want, but apparently you're telling me that's not the case. Then what do I do? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what you expect me to do, because there's not much I could do about that. I'm putting the power in your hands, and if the game that wins isn't the game you wanted, like, what happened there? There's obviously a disconnect, that people didn't want to participate, but then they complain after the fact that's not the game that won, that is not one that they wanted. Like, why did that happen? You know, I cannot please everyone. I would love to play these games that Ansokumaru is asking about. I would love to play The Ascent today, but I gotta finish the games I'm playing. You know, I can't. So let's just see what happens. You know, what I would say moving forward, I would say stop. Consciously understand the situation we're in right now in late July of 2021. We're at a time when all these smaller style games are coming out and people want to see me play them, and I can't because I'm in the midst of too much long, lengthy shit. Stop asking for lengthy shit then, right? Stop it. Every game that you ask for, stop asking for 60 to 80-hour games and make it a game that's a reasonable length, digestible, and then I'll play more variety. And then maybe people will be happy, you know? I don't know. I guess we'll see. I got 2 tips, one from Team Ico Gamer, who tipped me $1. Actually, I got 3 tips. Actually, I got 4 tips. Okay, let's try this again. An anonymous tipper tipped me $1.30 and says, you're critical of people buying amiibos. How is that different from figurines you collected when you're a bachelor? Most people who buy them are buying them for the game functionality. Well, what I've criticized about amiibos is not, oh, you have a few favorite Nintendo characters, so you bought like 5 amiibos and they're collectibles for you. What I've always criticized is these people who, no matter what Nintendo pumps out, they will buy the fuck out of it like it's the best thing ever. Just like the people who do the same thing with Apple products, or the people who do the same thing with other products that, oh, you know, what's the other thing that everyone buys? Let's just not derail it. You see what I'm saying? There's a difference between, oh, I have some extra funds, and as a hobby, I like to collect a few things, versus I must buy all the fucking amiibos out there to support Nintendo at a time when they're putting out no good games and the console sucks. That's a big difference. What you're criticizing literally isn't the criticism I had. It's an apples to oranges comparison. It's not the same. Me, did I buy statues? Yes. I bought some statues to decorate my place with back in Connecticut, and they were in videos, so they served a dual purpose. It wasn't just for my personal decoration, but also that they added atmosphere to my videos when I used to do things like channel updates or the week in preview and things like that, right? When I was filming activity in my condo, there was stuff to look at when I was walking around the condo. Today, I haven't bought a statue. The last statue that I bought, I want to argue, was like 2012, 2013. So you're talking 8+ years since I bought one. So you're criticizing me for something I did 8 years ago when I lived in a different life situation, and they were actually for the videos, not for my, really, honestly, not necessarily for my own personal collection purposes. It was like, oh, I'm going to hoard these things, you know. But that's what people do with amiibo. Oh, well, amiibos are from Nintendo, so let's just buy every amiibo. Every single one. Every one of the 1,000 amiibos, right? I wasn't doing I need to buy every statue. I was buying a few every once in a while, and I stopped doing it when I realized it was a waste of money. And, you know, it really was. It was the ultimate waste of money, time, and everything. It was really stupid. Harry Butthole, to me, $1.30 said, if you had to get a regular job and couldn't own a business, what type of work would you look for? I hate my job, but I don't know what I would be doing. I have no idea. I don't know what's out there. I don't know what the job market's like. COVID fucked everything up. It's a silly question, because sadly, there's no way I would know that without research. Why would I research it when I'm not doing that, right? So I can't answer that question. Team Igo Gamer tipped me $1.30 and says, are you saying that there's no chance you'll play Shin Megami Tensei 5 when it comes out? No, I don't know what I'm doing. It's a kind of a dual whammy, because number one, I don't even know with its timing and when it's coming out if I'm going to be so busy with other stuff if I'm even going to have time to play it. And number two, again, what's going to happen with Atlas copyright issues? So I don't know. I am interested in playing it, but I don't know if it's viable. Plum Girl to me $1.30 said, other stream idea, could you get an NES or N64 or other old console and play a viewer's choice game on an old console? Not sure if that's feasible or be a fun special event. I would have to, the only way I could do that is to find a way to capture from it. If you mean use original equipment. If you mean, oh, just play NES games or N64 games, I could do that right now on my Switch, right? There's both NES and Super Nintendo games on the Switch, and you can play N64 games like on the Wii U. So I have ways to do that. But if you're meaning original hardware, there'd have to be a viable way to capture via HDMI from those consoles, and I'm not sure there are. Plus, you're talking about investing in old school hardware for what arguably would be like an oddity kind of playthrough. Like, oh, Phil's playing the original Star Fox 64 on an actual N64 today. Okay, great, but that's like, I gotta buy an N64, I gotta find working copy of Star Fox, or actually working controller for the console, buy a way to HDMI capture from it for a one-off playthrough that who knows if anyone's gonna care about it, you know what I'm saying? So I would prefer, if I'm gonna play older games, I prefer if there's like virtual console versions of them, rather than investing in a ton of hardware and stuff that I might not use again. Just trying to look at the viability, the viability of doing it. Voice of the People. Timmy $10 says, here's what I want. Try Jedi Outcast on the Switch. Here's $10. Good luck. It's 10 hours long and a good challenge. All right. Well, thank you for the tip. That's 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 14 more dollars in tips to add to the running total. So thank you for that. And that gets us up to $82 in tips. We are very close to hitting the vest, guys. Very close. Only $18 away from seeing a vest on this very stream. Okay. Now some shout outs to those who've done super chats. Mature Adult did a super chat. Thank you, Mature Adult, for the super chat. Block Comments is here. His super chat said, what made you get into YouTube originally? Originally, I was at a point in my life where I was retiring from competitive Street Fighter because I had a back injury, and I was looking to get back into mainstream gaming and finding something else to do as a hobby because I couldn't really travel and play competitive Street Fighter anymore because my back was so bad at the time. And I had seen people like the AVGN, and it's Angry Video Game Nerd, and the Nostalgia Critic, essentially with no budget, and no production value become popular on the internet for just being funny. And I said, man, I wonder if I could do that with video games, and not like the AVGN where he's doing edited style reviews, but in skits, but instead just playing games on the fly and doing commentary. I was always told by my friends and you know, my colleagues playing Street Fighter that I was a funny guy, and that my commentary and stuff, the way that I would off the cuff make comments and jokes, people thought it was hilarious, and always said that they liked to hang out with me in person because I was a funny guy, and they liked having fun with me at tournaments and stuff. So I said maybe I could translate that into doing videos on YouTube. And originally it was just dicking around. It wasn't serious playthroughs or anything. I had seen people who were essentially doing walkthroughs, which were boring as fucking dirt. Like, all right, so here's the boss. So what you want to do is you're going to want to stay away from his lengthy attacks because they're very damaging. What you want to do is get close to the boss and stay near his feet. When you attack his foot, it staggers the boss, which then that was the kind of video that was out on YouTube. I'm not even kidding. Like, the walkthroughs were like that. It was like, my God, this shit sucks. I literally had not seen a single person on YouTube just do like improvisational, observational commentary on a video. It was either silence with text to explain what was going on, or it was someone doing like the most boring textbook commentary over a walkthrough video. There were no full playthroughs of stuff like that on YouTube that I was doing. At least they weren't prominent. So I said, let me do something completely different, and it worked. It completely exploded in popularity. But it was meant to be just something to kill time and be a hobby for me. I never expected I would turn it into something I would monetize or do for a job. I thought it would be something funny to do, and it blew up. So there you go. Yusef did a $2 super chat and says, have you seen The Sopranos? I've seen the entire series from start to finish, every single episode of The Sopranos. Yes. Harry Butthole to the $1.30 says, I asked because you have more work experience than me. Yes, but Harry Butthole, my work experience is from a decade ago. If you remember, my last job that I held down before I became an independent content creator, the last job I had was an office job, and I got laid off from it in fall of 2010. It is now July of 2011, or excuse me, 2021, 11 years later. And with that gap in actual work experience outside of being an internet content creator, work experience doesn't matter anymore. I would be starting from scratch, essentially. Really. What I would have to do is show people, look what I've done for the last 11 years, and how could those skills tie into maybe a job I'm trying to get. And I have absolutely no idea what it would even be out here, because I don't even know what's out here, because I'm not looking. You see? Guy Arnold did a super chat and says, a user in the chat, Level Minded, says he met you and your wife and said I was a nice guy, wondering if you thought the same of him. I don't know, because I don't know who that is. I don't know who Level Minded is. He's saying he met us. If he did, I could think probably since my wife moved in with me, probably I've met 3 people in real life who recognized me and wanted to like say hello. Only 2 of them that I even run into with my wife. One of them worked at a video arcade. One of them was someone who I just ran into randomly at a store. And one of them was someone who, while I was waiting for my wife, who was going like makeup shopping at the mall, I ran into someone waiting outside the store, and we talked about Street Fighter. That's like all I remember. So, okay. Let's continue with questions from the forums. In fact, we're not almost done, but let's continue. Kill Bill 216 says, do you see the new PS5 controller as a gimmick or something new and fresh that developers will adopt? I know many games have come out that included these features, but like I mentioned, it doesn't feel as good as Astro. I'm sure it takes a lot of time for developers to include it and make it as precise as Astro's Playroom. I'm not sure if they want to take that time during development. Do you think that Xbox needs something like this too? So I would argue that the DualSense haptic feedback is a nice feature. The games for me that it stood out with entirely, 3 games. All right. Obviously Astro, and everyone's going to say Astro is the game that used it the most because the game was literally designed just to be a feature of it. So obviously Astro is number 1. Had vibration, you could blow into it, all of that stuff. The other game that blew me away at launch was Bugsnax, because Bugsnax has segments where there's a storm outside, and when it was raining with the thunder, the controller would actually vibrate in tune with the thunder and with the feeling of the water droplets. You would actually feel very minor vibration with water droplets as they hit you when you were walking through the rainstorm. I never felt like being immersed in a rainstorm before like that before. That actually blew me away. And then the other game would have been Ratchet and Clank, where different weapons had different feel to them. Admittedly, like certain one, oh, the trigger's harder. Oh, this one's the trigger's looser. This one has a two levels of fire, while this one only has one. Have any of this actually added concretely to my gameplay experience? No. I'm just being honest. I liked it at first when I first started experiencing it at the launch of the console. But with other games, like Returnal had it, and so it hasn't really enhanced my gameplay experience in any way. I don't feel like I'm getting more out of playing with the haptic feedback on PS5 than I am playing a similar game, say, on Xbox Series X. In fact, if you took a look at a game like Call of Duty, Black Ops Cold War, that was a negative experience with haptic feedback because it was accidentally making me click the thumbsticks and do melee attacks overly when I didn't want to, and there was no way to stop it besides turning the haptic feedback completely off. There was no sensitivity setting that fixed that, okay? So I would argue that it's kind of a mixed bag. There are some positives, there are some negatives. Overall, has it really enhanced my gameplay experience? No. But we're still within the first year of the console's life cycle. And until we actually start seeing major AAA releases coming out that are exclusives for PS5, I don't feel we're going to see many games implementing it. Okay? The games that have implemented it, it's nice that it's there, but it's not anything special, and it hasn't really changed my gameplay experience at all. Alright? Maybe we'll see as we approach end of this year, early next year, when these new titles are coming out that are PS5 exclusives. Hopefully, they will have something that blows me away with haptic feedback, but I just haven't seen it yet. Okay? So the next person actually asked, I'm not even kidding, 4 questions, and every single one was good, and none of them were related to each other. So I'm going to say, shout-outs and congratulations are in order to Tsunami Carl, who asked 4 really good questions. I'm going to answer all 4 of them for the show because I like them all. All right? So thank you, Tsunami Carl, for submitting those questions. I really appreciate that. Here we go. The first question is, with the scarcity of PS5s and Xbox Series X's consoles over the last year, largely due to scalping, what do you think can be done to prevent this from happening in the future, or is there anything that can be done? Well, an attempt can be made by, say, like what Steam did, and you have to sell through a approved source, and that approved source has a controlled supply flow. Like when you were pre-ordering Steam Deck, you had to go through Steam to pre-order it. You had to have a registered Steam account that existed for a certain amount of time. And even then, there were things that were in place, like protections in place. Also, when the Steam Deck scalpers went to PayPal, when they went to eBay, eBay said, and they shut down all those listings. You see? So there's 2 different places you can shut down scalping. The point of sale itself, but then also the places where those scalped consoles are being resold. So there's 2 different opportunities to shut it all down. And I would sadly say that most of these places did not do a very good job at all of shutting it down. A lot of these businesses just didn't give a fuck. They were just looking for the initial sale dollars. They didn't care who bought the consoles. But that's hurting the game industry as a whole when arguably 25 to 30% of next-gen consoles are sitting in a warehouse untouched because they're not sold by a scalper. The scalper bought it and couldn't sell it, and it's just sitting there, and now the things aren't being played. Okay? The next question. If you were to win the lottery $100 million, what would be some of your major purchases? Would you completely stop streaming, or maybe stream once in a while? I imagine paying off your taxes would come first. Would you make another trip to Connecticut to visit your family? A proper honeymoon with Kat? Would you continue to live in the Seattle area and own various types of real estate? Alright, so that's a lot of questions. Essentially, every single thing that Tsunami Carl suggested is something I would consider. Would I stop streaming or maybe stream once in a while? No, I would not stop streaming. Would I reduce the amount that I'm streaming to be more manageable so I have much more time to spend with my family? Yes. Maybe I would only stream 3 to 4 days a week instead of 6. And then I would have 2 to 3 days to spend exclusively with my family on my wife's days off. You know, we could be together all day and do stuff together. That would be ideal. And by the way, if I had $100 million, I'd have way more disposable income to do stuff on those days. So it wouldn't be like, oh, I have to sit at home all day because I have no money today, which is what happened 2 weeks ago when I was waiting for the YouTube payment to come through. Okay? So that's number 1. Would I still stream? Yes. But Phil, why would you still stream if you're filthy rich? Because I love it. I love playing games with you guys. I love hanging out with you guys. I love this. This is not me doing it because I want to make a buck. I'm doing it because I love it, and then I get to make a living doing it on top of that, so it's the added frosting on top of the cake for me. You know what I'm saying? I'm not some content creator that's forcing myself to do this to make a living. Okay? Paying off my taxes would be the first thing I would do. If any kind of money came in, 1/3 of that goes to the feds anyway. That's how they bill it. Is like 1/3 of whatever you make goes to the feds as income tax. And then on top of that, my back taxes, I would immediately go pay them all off. Okay? I would immediately pay off all my outstanding debts. This mortgage, any other remaining debts, like my car payments, stuff like that, all done. I would contact my parents immediately. Say, you guys are set. You don't have to worry about money for the rest of your life. Anything you guys need, it's on me. Whether it's medical care, you want a new car for the house, something for the house, you're done. Don't worry about it. You're taken care of. I'm not going to have you pay for a damn thing ever again in your life. Why? You took care of me, for the longest time. You still, time for time, you help me out with stuff. I'm here to be here for you now, all right? That would be 100% a given that my parents would be 100% taken care of, okay? Would I visit my family again? Likely, yes. Likely I would take a trip to see them again, because now it's been over 2 years since I saw them last. They're not doing well health-wise. I would like to see them again. So yes, that would probably be something I would do right away. Would I go on a honeymoon with my wife? Yes. That's something we didn't get to do 2 years ago. We still have not been able to do it. It sucks. We talk about it all the time, what we'd like to do, and it's still not viable because of COVID and other shit going on, and of course finances. But absolutely 100% would go on a honeymoon with my wife. Where would we go? I don't know. We would have to talk about it, because if we had $100 million, a lot more things have now opened up, right? Realistically, what we think we want to do eventually for a honeymoon is go, I don't know, maybe to like California, maybe Vegas, but maybe LA area, Disneyland, or maybe somewhere else, maybe Canada, something that's not going to be super far and won't be insanely expensive. Ideally, if we had unlimited budget, we'd like to go to Japan or Europe or something like that, but we don't have budget for that. We don't have any money to do something like that, you see? So there you go. Would I continue to live in the Seattle area and own various types of real estate? We like it here, although admittedly the crazy heat that we started getting out of fucking nowhere is insane. If anything, what we would probably do is put central air in the house. So when it gets that hot, we could actually cool the house down reliably, which we can't right now. I would probably put more insulation on this wall here so that this room would not heat up like an oven in the afternoons, and we would have central air that actually cooled the entirety of the house so that we don't have to swelter it out. If that were the case, the heat wouldn't even bother us. Seriously. Thought I heard a voice, but now it's gone. Might be someone outside talking. Okay, so anyway, that's what I'm thinking. All right, that's like realistically what I'm thinking of stuff that I would do immediately with a big amount of money. Now, obviously, one thing I would do immediately, take that money and invest it in a way that's going to pay for itself forever. Whether that means I find safe investments to put it in and it just makes money over time and I don't have to worry about income for the rest of my life, or buying businesses up and actually having franchise businesses and stuff to operate. I would do something like that for sure, because I don't want everything to be reliant on, just living off this money for the rest of my life. I want it to be self-generating. You see, when you have that much money, you create a system where you self-generate more money, and that's what I would want to happen. But the thing is, I'm not going to put too much thought into it because it ain't going to happen. I'm never winning the lottery, Next question. You mentioned in the past that if you will not be a full-time streamer forever and someday you'll need to get a more traditional job due to the overwhelming amount of hate you've received online, future employers may be wary of hiring you if they were to search your name online. Have you ever thought about legally changing your name? Well, you're right. And if the thing is, with the digital age, the way employers work is they do search for shit online. And even though they may see that most of the stuff online is stupid kitty bullshit, they may still be afraid of trolling and stuff at a business, right? So, yeah, maybe I could legally change my name. I don't know if you could do that without having people find out about it. I have no clue. I don't know the legal process of that. Or one thing I've said is, instead of thinking about getting a brick and mortar job out there, diversifying what I do on the internet. Instead of just being a gameplay streamer for the rest of my life, doing different styles of content, because I have a following. I have people who follow me and who like me and want to hear my opinions on things that aren't just gameplay. Maybe it could be me doing news, me doing commentary on politics and other things. I don't know. But I definitely feel like I have enough of a support and following that I could do whatever I want. It's more about finding the right times to try to adopt new things, you see. We'll see. But I don't know. I've never looked into like changing my name or anything like that at this point. That's something for more long term. So, all right, last question from Tsunami Carl. It says, will you bring back the WWE 2K holiday sim streams? If so, it would be cool if we make a Sims more interesting, by tying it in with the Christmas edition of Feasting with the King. For example, let's say we select what restaurant you're going to order from. Associate each wrestler in a sim with a certain food item on the menu. Let's say you order Sonic. A wrestler A will represent a bacon cheeseburger versus wrestler B who represents their chicken sandwich, and C represents a foot-long coney hot dog. I think this would make the matches more interesting for stream viewers. Imagine a chicken sandwich wins and everyone is cheering for the coney hot dog so you don't eat another chicken item. It's an interesting idea. I don't know how viable it would be because let's say for example, we decide I am going to get Sonic, okay? But now we have to run all these matches that takes time. Like, how late am I going to order food? When I do WWE Sims, it takes hours. Like, some of those matches can take upwards of an hour. Like, the Royal Rumble match doesn't. It takes an hour or longer. So, I mean, it's a good idea, but we'd have to think, we have to brainstorm that further to make it time constraint viable. You know what I'm saying? Like, we'd have to actually pick out the restaurant ahead of time and maybe have, like, 10 menu items and do, like, 2 matches that determine the menu items I order and stuff like that, right? Yeah. That'd be interesting, I feel. Thank you for those questions. Those are pretty interesting. An anonymous tipper tipped me $1.30 and says your experience as a small business owner could translate well into a management position at retail or something. Retail, no. I'm telling you right now, retail is a joke. Retail in the United States, of any kind of a major chain, they don't give a fuck if you have training or not. They don't give a fuck if you have experience. They just want you to suck their butts. I mean it. Retail is about kissing butt, bending over backwards, busting your ass for a minimum paycheck, and doing whatever you're told without any question. That's retail 101 in the United States of America. They literally don't want someone with experience or know-how, because then they feel that that person knows better than them and will end up trying to fuck things up for the way of the order that they want at their retail business. I tell you that right now, okay? Now, independently owned businesses do want people who are educated and have experience, because they feel that those people will excel at the job. But retail, they're just looking for a fucking automaton. Yes, sir. No, sir. Whatever you say, sir. Oh, you want me to work extra hours? Yes, sir. Drop my entire life for your shitty-ass business? Yes, sir. Oh, yes, sir. That's all they want. They don't want anyone to think outside the box or have an intelligent thought in their fucking head in American retail. So, no, I would not be able to get a good retail job as a basis of any experience. Okay, then. Let's continue. Let's see here. Super chats. Plum Girl did a $2 super chat. Says, will you continue to play Call of Duty games each year? At this point, I don't know. Because of everything going on at Activision Blizzard, I'll be honest with you, I played Call of Duty last week and I actually felt kind of bad about it. I played it, I was like, man, I'm playing this game of a company that I know abused their employees and treated them like dirt, has this terrible culture mentality, literally makes money putting out the same game every year and doesn't ever improve the server. And as I'm playing the game, the servers are sucking and lagging. And I'm getting more frustrated. I'm like, why am I fucking doing this? Even though I like the core gameplay mechanics, the fact that the servers suck shit, right, actually pissed me off. Okay? So, what I would like to say is, at this point, I don't know what I'm going to do moving forward. If there's a viable competition for first-person shooters like there is this year we're going to have a Battlefield game and Halo Infinite. Maybe this is the year you tell Activision, fuck off, fuck you, go fail, because you guys are terrible people with a terrible culture. Maybe I skip it this year. We'll see what happens, okay? Parasolo did a super chat and says, you remember Chad Warden? Wasn't that someone who did a super chat earlier? I don't know. Let's look. I thought we had a Chad who did a super chat earlier. Now I don't see it. So I don't know. Plum Girl did a super chat. I said, now that it pays well, would you ever go work for a non-profit, whether through streaming or not? What type of non-profit? I don't know anything about it. I don't know anything about it at all. So, no, I couldn't answer that. I don't know anything about working for a non-profit, what ones would be available. You're asking me about something zero knowledge. I thank you for the super chat, though. I don't see, why wouldn't I? Why would I? If it's viable employment, why wouldn't I work for a non-profit? Right? Now Block Comments did a super chat. Are trolls more harsh than before since you joke? I don't know what you mean. Because there's different kinds of trolls. There's people who just like make silly references and jokes, and there's other people who try to ruin my life completely. And I don't consider I really don't consider the people who want to ruin my life completely trolls. I consider them, you know, nut jobs. People who should be fucking put into a padded room. So, thank you for the super chat. All right, let's keep going. We're almost done with the forum questions. The next one is a triple question from Haseo X4. So let's jump into this one, okay? The first question, do you remember strategy guides or what they were for? What series or franchises gave rise to strategy guides? I would argue the two major game franchises that needed them were always RPGs and fighting games. RPGs because they're so lengthy and they could have a lot of side content that could get missed if you didn't know it existed, that the strategy guides were warranted. You want to buy this strategy guide to play alongside this lengthy RPG to make sure you're getting all your bang for your buck. One thing a lot of people don't realize is that in the 1990s, all right, games were differently priced dependent on the amount of content in the game. Most RPGs released in the 1990s were actually upwards of $100 in price, while a game that was a cheaper, kind of quicker experience could be cheaper than other games. It's true. Like, I remember going to the store, and every game was priced differently, depending on the kind of games that they were. It's not like today where every game's the same price tag. So you would argue that if you're going to spend $100 on a game, you obviously want to get all of your content out of said game. You don't want to play the game and miss half the content in the game. You spent more money for it, you see? Another thing is fighting games, because back then there was no internet resources for fighting games. There was nowhere to go to immediately find out this is the best moves and high priorities and combos. There was no Twitch. There was no YouTube. In fact, even GameFAQs and shit really wasn't robust and stuff for fighting games back in the day. It was mostly like very basic level posted forums that were all ASCII code forums and shit. And so if you really wanted a, you know, in-depth coverage of a fighting game, pictures of how every move looked, the hit properties of every move, you needed to buy a strategy guide to get that. Those were the two that I would say RPGs and fighting games were the two that were the most prominent strategy guides back in the day. And then all of a sudden what happened is strategy guides became popular for being collector's items rather than just a way to get informative knowledge on a game, and therefore people would buy them for that aspect as well. I didn't own a ton of strategy guides. I still show you guys the one from Final Fantasy III that I owned back in the day that I still have today and I still use when I replay Final Fantasy VI. I still use it. I had a book for Super Mario World. Yes, a book. It had no pictures. It was a text strategy guide for Super Mario World. And I'm trying to remember particularly if and what strategy guides I actually owned, because I didn't have that many back in the day. In fact, it wasn't until I became a full-time YouTuber, all right, that I started buying strategy guides actively, because I wanted to be able to, number one, get the most out of my games for making the videos, and number two, I wanted to be able to get through them and not get stuck, because I was making content for an audience rather than just for me. If I was just playing the game for me and I got stuck, I didn't really care. But if I'm doing it for a YouTube audience and now I can't pass a part of the game because I don't know what's going on, obviously that's a problem. And I started buying the strategy guides along with new releases in order to get through those games in an efficient pace. I stopped doing that probably around the time when I started live streaming. I stopped buying the strategy guides for games, because how am I going to reference the guide when I'm here talking with you guys? And you guys started to help me live with the games and stuff like that. The one exception was I bought the strategy guide for Fallout 4 because I felt like it had so much content that I didn't want to miss anything. So, okay, next question. Were the guidebooks used a lot in the fighting game community, and ultimately what caused the decline for the strategy guide? Do you believe YouTube is one of the causes of why strategy guides are no longer needed? I think I answered the first half of that question, but the second half is absolutely yes. Since everything ended up being instant sharing, the moment a game comes out, people already are showing you the high-end combos, the strategies, raw footage of how to implement that in competitive play. There's no need for a strategy guide anymore. There's just not. You can immediately open your phone and have access to all of that content for free. Why are you going to pay for a published guide of that? Like I said, I think what actually happened is that there was actually more of a rise. How can I say it? There's been more of a rise in collector's items. You'll see more, the art of this game, and it's sold as like a $60 collector's item book with gorgeous artwork and things, as opposed to this is just a strategy guide for the game. You see, I think there's a rise more in collectibles than there is I'm actually buying a book that's going to have explanation of how to play said game. You see, But yeah, it's YouTube, Twitch, the rise of that stuff, instant gratification, instant knowledge on every game, you know, right away. That's what killed strategy guides. Last question from Hiseo. He said, it's been 9 months, or nearly 9 months, since PS5 and Xbox Series X came out. What are your thoughts in regards to the PS5? Has your overall thoughts in regards to the PS5 changed during the time, or have they been the same since you got the PS5? I love my PS5 because my PS5 is both a PS4 and PS5 system, plays games on both, plays PS4 games better. 9 times out of 10, the games load much faster. I really like the PS5 controller. I feel that the form factor is more in line with the controller that I like. Like I told you guys last console gen, I felt the Xbox One controller was far superior to the PS4. This time around, they bulked it up. They make it feel better in your hands. And in general, I think the PS5 games, not necessarily that they've delivered on an experience you can't get anywhere else, but they definitely feel next gen. A lot of the graphics have been improved, the loading times are improved, etc. Okay? So that being said, I like the PS5. I think it's a great console. And I feel bad for people who really want one and can't get one, because now we're heading into a time of the year where there's going to be exclusives that are going to start to come out in the next year that people are really going to want for it, and you can't get it because of the situation that we're in right now. All right? But I'm really enjoying the console, and I hope that everyone else is enjoying my coverage of it. I really don't have much negative to say about it, besides the haptic feedback just doesn't feel like it's cracked up to be. Outside of that, I don't think I've had a problem with the PS5 at all, except, okay, my one criticism of the PS5 that is a pet peeve of mine, no dual audio out, and I can't get true surround sound out of it because they decided to do no dual audio out. The Xbox Series X has it. I can get surround sound through my headphones. I can't get it on PS5 because it doesn't have dual audio out. That's incredibly fucking stupid and a huge oversight by Sony. They should fix that. Outside of that, I like the console, but I don't feel like it's really lived up to the potential of any. We haven't seen a true next-gen game on PS5 yet that blows us away yet. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so more quick shout-outs over here. H-Bomb, what a name, tipped me $1.40 and says, have you thought about doing long-form reviews of recent games you played for additional content? No. My long-form reviews were retired a long time ago when I told people they weren't viable to do for YouTube anymore because I was putting so much time, effort, and editing into them just for YouTube to demonetize them. So why am I going to bother with that? I am now a full-time streamer. That means as a full-time streamer, I don't have time to do long-form edited videos anymore for YouTube, nor do I care about them. Okay? Okay, is there a super chat to shout out, or did I cover them all? I think I might have gotten them all. Let me double check. Nope, okay, I got them all. So here's the deal, guys. It's time for our second and final break. What I will do is take roughly a 5-10 minute break. When we come back, we got Twitter questions, and I'll take live questions from the viewers, and that's the conclusion of the show. All right? So a very brief break here for me to just, stretch my legs, use the restroom. If you're watching live on stream, I'll be back within 5-10 minutes tops. If you're watching on demand on YouTube, there'll be a third and final video to this episode of Ask the King, okay? Thank you guys. You've been a great audience so far, and I will see you in just a few minutes, okay? Thanks.